The principal's address will now be given by Mr. Dan Beckeman.
Well, thank you, class of 2020. And I can't turn around, but one of the things that principals seem to have at times are eyes in the back of their head. And so parents that are behind, I'm sorry that you have only seen the backs of the speakers, but we felt that it would be most opportune to have the speakers facing the graduates. But at this time, what I would like to do is I would like to ask all of the staff and administration that are on the track, if you would all please stand and face these parents. And this is not everybody, but this is a good representation of educators, kindergarten through 12th grade, that have helped to carry this class through to this point in their life where they are now going to turn a tassel and soon become alumni of this school. Please join me in giving the staff your appreciation and a round of applause. Thank you, staff. You know, I'm always the last speaker, and so I get an opportunity to kind of recap and then add a few things to what was said, and so eloquently done by the four that have preceded me. A takeaway for me from Mr. Edwards was he talked about your dignity, he talked about your class, he talked about your understanding, and he talked about how you have planted yourself. And I'm going to come back to that planted in a little bit. Lindsay Mira, thanks for sharing your gratefulness for your family. To know that you probably have other classmates who have people that are behind me and in front of you that have been there for you in the thick, in the thin, the good and the bad. So thank you for recognizing family, because I believe that's what everybody seated here in front of me would like to show for the people that are in the stands. Elena, you're right. Appreciate the time that you have, because you just don't know how much you have. Appreciate the experiences, because you don't know if you're going to experience what other people have that have come before you. So thanks for helping us to understand that to a deeper level. And Gabby, you are right. I am old. It just hit me that I'm old. 30 times I've been on the stage, and the first time in this beautiful venue. I appreciate what you had to say, and again, how you were grateful for your educators, because they did put you on a right path of value education along with your family. And seniors, I know that there's a special person or special persons that were your educators that helped you at some point learn more about something. And so I'm thankful for that. And now I want to take you back in time to when I was, remember, I'm old. John Chapman was his name. He was born in the late 1700s and he lived up through 1845. I did not know who John Chapman was. I didn't. But I read about him as an elementary student. And I remember him for what he was known as. And this is where audience participation, you may raise your hand if you know John Chapman as Johnny Appleseed. Raise your hand if you know who Johnny Appleseed is. Good, there's old people behind me. Well, I got to tell you, when you think about Johnny Appleseed, I remember reading that book. And I remember thinking, here's a person who sowed seeds. He went in Pennsylvania, he was in Ohio, he was in Indiana, he was in Illinois, and he sowed seeds. He sowed apple seeds. He was known as a nurseryman. In other words, he casts so many seeds that orchards followed behind him. And what happened is because of what he chose to do for others in his path, not only did he leave apple orchards, but he left a memory with the people that crossed his path as being kind and generous. It was a literal seed. He would sow the seeds, go and walk, and these seeds would find ground, and they would grow. And some would grow into beautiful, mature apple trees that would nourish the bellies of many people that he didn't even know. His legend lived on beyond the years that he actually lived. I read about him in an elementary school in the 60s, and he died in 1845. Now, I want to take that literal seed and go to the figurative seed, because I'm going to share with you, as Gabby mentioned, I've been to 30 Reeth-Puffer graduations. 30. And I got to tell you, the reason for it is I fell in love with this district. I'm proud to say that my daughter was in the class of 2002, K-12 Reeth-Puffer. My son, class of 2006, K-12 Reeth-Puffer. Unbelievably wonderful contributing citizens in their communities. So when I take this figurative seed, this is what I would say I have tried to do over these 30 years. And so when I start to say, I want you to sow a seed, what I want to say is it's not the physical or the literal seed where it's going to grow an apple tree. I want you to think about this. I want you to sow seeds of good deeds. Did you hear that? Sow seeds of good deeds. But you know, I've got to qualify for you what those good deeds are. Because if I didn't qualify, you'd say, well, what's a good deed? And you know, you'd have every right to question that. I want to give you the 5 seeds of good deeds that I've lived my life by. And maybe your path crossed mine, and you may have seen some of this in our interactions between one another. So when I ask you to do this, I'm going to challenge you over these 5 things that will generate and will result in good deeds. The first is this: sow the good deed of peace. You know, peace doesn't come without conflict. It's having the ability to handle conflict peacefully. Sow the good deed of peace. Sow patience. Sow patience. When I think about patience, it's talking about demonstrating tolerance in an ever-increasing intolerant world. Seek first to understand before you want to be understood. And this world has so many human beings that are impatient. Sow the seed of patience. Goodness. Sow the seed of goodness. And what I mean by that is this: believe in the goodness in people, because everyone has good in them. You have got to look for the good in the people. Discern what's the difference between right and wrong, and do right and do good. And if you have the choice to do these things, it's all about action, and that's going to lead into sow the seed of kindness. Kindness is the antidote to cruelty. If you ever have the choice to be kind or to choose to be right, always choose to be kind, because then you'll always be right. And the last one is this: choose to cast the seed of compassion, because we need more forgiveness, we need more grace in this world. We are too quick to judge and too slow to forgive. And so when I think about Johnny Appleseed casting these seeds, and you know, when he cast these seeds, he didn't look over his shoulder and see a full-grown, mature apple tree. What he saw was a seed casted on the ground. And then he left. And then he came back. And people were grateful and thankful that he came by to do those things, because in their community, he had these orchards be raised and they became mature trees. And so what I'm saying is that took time. An apple tree doesn't grow overnight. And so when you think about sowing these seeds of good deeds, they're going to happen over the course of your life. See, some of you I knew before you came to the high school in 9th grade. Some of you, my interactions with you were minimal. But you know this? My time with you and what I did in my words and deeds and actions, it cast an image in your mind of who I am and what I stand for. And you ready for this? There's a level of reciprocity with that. Also, your interactions with me and how you carried yourself in this high school over 4 years cast an image. And so as you go through life, what you're going to find is this. Johnny Appleseed was known as a person that was kind and generous. You are going to move into a community someday. You'll probably get married. There's a chance that you'll have a family. You'll raise them in a community, and you're going to get to know people, and you're going to work with your kids, and you're going to do those types of things, and you're going to start to build these bonds with people. And how you act towards people, people will start to create this image of who you are and what do you believe in. And so when I think about those seeds being cast in good deeds, when I think about peace, patience, goodness, kindness, and compassion, I've never come across a person who has demonstrated those qualities in life that is not infectious and is not someone worthy of emulation. In other words, to imitate, to be like, to want to be around, to have as a friend, to have as a spouse. And so as you leave this place, I'm looking at you as a collective group of people for the last time. You will all leave tonight. And you will go, and I'm going to guess some of you, I will see you at some point. Our paths will probably cross. Some of you, as I'm looking at you, the chances this might be the last time when you walk in front of me. And when I ask this, I say, sow those seeds of good deeds. Everything I just shared with you is a choice. It's a choice. It is a choice that is free to you as I'm standing here in front. You just have to take action and put it into play. If you do those things, you too will have a life so well lived that you will be remembered beyond your years. A little kid growing up in a Muskegon elementary read about a man he never met, but understood what kindness and generosity was. So much of an impact that I'm bringing to a class of 2020 on a football field in Muskegon. So when you leave this place, make choices, sow seeds in good deeds. And my guess is when you hear the name Johnny Appleseed someday, or you have somebody read that book, I'm hopeful that you'll be mindful of good deeds. So long, class of 2020. Remember this, as you sow, you will reap. And it's my hope that you will all reap a joy-filled life, a life well spent. Thank you very much, class of 2020. At this time, I'm going to ask the people behind me or the people to the side of me, our staff and board members. At this time, would all RP alumni please stand? If you graduated from Reeth-Puffer High School, please stand. It is important, alumni, that you know that the students seated before you have carried the torch of excellence well, and that our community can be very proud of their efforts in getting to this ceremonial event. Thank you for supporting them. They will make you proud in joining you tonight as alumni of this wonderful school. Thank you. You may be seated. To the Board of Education, As principal of Reeth-Puffer High School, I certify that the graduates seated before you tonight have met all requirements you have set before them and have earned their high school diploma. To you, I present the class of 2020.